Hello and welcome back to The Climb episode 3. This week we've got another patch notes rundown. And joining me today, I will be your regular host, Zach. Joining me, my regular cohort, Virgil,
Yo.
Vincent,
Sup, sup?
and another new member today. We have a very special guest to me specifically, Matthew.
Hello.
What about you?
uh, hello.
Hello.
So,
What makes me
Matthew,
special, Zach?
before we, you know what, that actually I shouldn't have said that. That's my bad. They don't need to know. But so we'll instead focus on introduce yourself. Everything about League, everything about champs, and really how you know us even.
Okay, well, I'm Matthew. I am also known as Tweedie. The name is a long story that was kind of given to me. But I'm a jungle main. Well, random now and again jungle main. But I've never really found any specific champions that I main. There are a few that I do go back to, like Gragas, Viego, Jarvan, sort of Lee Sin if I'm feeling a bit spicy. Um, but I never really have found a specific role that I want to play. Probably should, but just gotta find it.
I think Matthew represents a lot of the League player base that not everyone wants to settle down into one particular champ or niche.
Yeah. The main thing I've just struggled with finding a set of champs that I want to constantly play. I should. I feel like it is better if you do, but I just gotta find them. I first got into League when it was the very end of season 10, just before Mythic items were introduced. And I was introduced by, I'm pretty sure it was Virgil.
It's quite possible.
At the start of lockdown. And when I first downloaded it, I played it like once, and then I left it for ages. And then they were playing it a bit, so I thought, I might as well try it a bit. So I joined in the games and started to have a bit more fun. I started on Morgana support, which was
Eventful.
Did you have like the Blade
yes.
Mistress skin or something? So you like played that?
Yeah, I think it was one of the first skins that I had, so I just decided to play her. Then I moved on to, I think it was Wukong and Kennen. Don't know why. Just
Oh wait, I actually remember that. Yeah.
No, it was eventful because I remember
Canon arc.
obviously linking back to when we all started, right? We all kind of had our designated roles we took up, and our friend that introduced us, he was playing jungle, so none of us had to play jungle. And then one of our other friends who played the game a bit more, when that guy left, took over and also played jungle. But what was happening is, I remember Matt, you were playing support, and of course
yeah.
everyone's having all this fun being told what to do and how to learn, and you're being told what not to do. So eventually you were like, I'm really not enjoying this. And then what happened is I swapped from top lane to support, and you went from support to top. Because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what champs do you want to play? And then we decided, hey, let's put him in top lane for a bit.
I think it was also Virgil mentioned that it was one of the best roles to learn, like laning itself. I think mid lane you said was better, but we had like quite a few mid laners, so I just went top.
Also, we were all new,
and
so
I
we're all a bit clueless.
yeah, and I think I also had the Jaximus skin, which is why I played him as well. But yeah, I started quite a while ago. I'm still not amazing, but getting better. And I know all these guys because I went to high school with them. I was part of the original Tavern group, so I've known them for the longest, I would say.
When did you and Vincent meet actually?
That was, I think it was the start of last year
Yeah, quite a while.
when yeah,
But isn't like
when
it's kind of short. We only met recently, but it feels like it's been a long time.
yeah.
I mainly met through like a friend of theirs, and so I was invited to join like a clash with them, one game, and so I filled in as
yeah.
support with them.
Yeah.
And then we won that tournament. Funny enough, we went 3-0 in that tournament, and then it's just like after that it was like some time, and then I just like randomly started speaking to Virgil, and
Yeah.
just and started to integrate myself with Tavern.
Yeah, that would have been like probably around end of 2023, 2024. Because I feel like that was a large kind of like
Yeah.
switch, not switch, but like kind of a huge influx of people was kind of around that
Yeah.
time into the
Yeah.
Discord. And then, because obviously, I don't know, I don't know when I met you because I didn't play, I haven't played Clash in like years. I was definitely not there. I don't know if you guys remember who was in that Clash where you met him
Oh God
exactly, or
knows. What are you saying? We won
Is
it?
there a way to see how long you've
Yeah.
you
been
can see
friends
in
with
your
someone?
old in
Yeah,
the
if one of you
league
has the
thing.
client up, you can view your Clash history.
Yeah, but
It was yeah, we went 3 and I was support player at that point. There was a you guys had like a diamond AD carry. I don't remember.
Oh, is that Brady? Might have been Brady.
Yeah.
Yo,
That was
oh, that was a long time ago.
that's very
Yeah.
weird, unique mixed group of people I'm thinking of that because that is I can't imagine
None of
that.
the
But
roles
if it's
make
Clash,
sense either.
yeah,
if
it
it's
was
Clash, maybe.
I got like Theo invited me to it. He was like jungle and I think you were mid lane. I was support. Brady and then I forgot who the top laner was.
That's an absolutely classic way to meet people in the league is when you need like a fifth in Clash randomly. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just start going through
Just
servers.
invite everyone on your friends list.
Start going through servers like, yo, does anyone want to play Clash? You lie about what role is open as well.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, guys, we can fit you in if we need to, but otherwise we got our ideas. Oh, the support's open, guys. You gotta play support if you want to play. You know, it's just saying. But yeah, that's a pretty conclusive history, I'd say, of how everyone knows each other currently. And of
Mm.
course, as you said, Matt, you've tried a variety of different ways to find your champ pool, be able to find out what role fits you, but you're still happy to just play whatever jungle top currently.
Yeah.
I assume going into this, focusing on this ranked season. Obviously, Matthew, I noticed you playing a lot of top lane. Is that still true, or has anything changed?
Well, so this season I got to gold 1 because my placements put me in like silver 4 because last season I finished gold 4 because I barely played last
That's
season.
where you hit plat just about now.
In the first split I did, then the second split I played barely any games, then the third split I just hadn't played for I think it was like 3 months because that's when I couldn't use my PC.
Mm.
So I hadn't played, and then I just got really washed, and then finished gold 4. So I got placed silver 4 this season, and then I got back up to gold 2, like gold 1, with top lane. Then to get into plat, I just played a few jungle games. But then since I've been in plat, I've been trying. I don't know why. I've been trying mid lane, and that was when I've had. Hold on, I think it was out of the past 11 ranked games, I've lost 10.
My god. No, that's crazy, bro.
so I'm back in gold, but hold on, let me have a look at my match history. So it's a red carpet, let's just say that.
And while you're looking at that, maybe you want to tell us about your history with ping. Because I know
Oh, yeah.
out of everyone, you've probably got one of the worst track records in terms of game ping.
Well, for a while in my like student flat, I had pretty bad ping. Then I fixed it for like 6 months, so it was actually playable. But then I moved back to my house, my family house, and first of all, my PC couldn't go in my room because I didn't have a desk. Then when it could, the Wi-Fi signal was really, really bad to the point where I was getting like half a megabyte download. But now I finally fixed it after like 4 months of playing without good ping. It would be constantly flickering between like 400 and 500 ping. And it would always be in the first like 5 minutes of a game. So it was so doomed.
Always when you least need it, it just shows up.
Yeah. So it is fixed now. So I can actually play.
Which means this is your season, right? Surely.
Yes.
This is Matthew's split.
Well, the thing is when I did hit plat the first time at the start of last season, I hit plat 1 with just playing Vlad mid lane. So that is my peak, but then I just haven't really hit it since.
Do you think Emerald possible, the split?
If I finally decide on one role in a few champs, possibly I reckon I can get to Emerald. I do feel like if I stuck to champs, I could eventually get there. But it's just whether I actually do it or not. So
Relatable.
It's nice to
Yeah.
think.
How
Nice to
many-
think you might be able to make it. Yeah. How about everyone else? How has the past ranked week been treating you all?
Wow, here is
Well,
a
well,
story. Here is a story,
Go for
and
it.
yeah. So there is a member that was on the podcast recently. He goes by the name of Harry. He's been playing mid lane, and he really wants to get gold. And so I've been neglecting playing jungle and playing AD carry, like kind of turbo stomping the lane, playing Zeri mainly, so I can like hard carry. And I've been just trying to get this man out of silver because his goal is to get out of silver so he can stop playing League of Legends and go back to being a human.
It's actually uncanny that the guy. It's like the gold elo on the graph is like a ceiling, and his elo just keeps bouncing off it. Like he's been one game outside of it for
yeah.
like literally a
It's been
week.
crazy.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I
Poor
just
guy.
I just dealt with him like before we started recording this. And we lost 3 games. It was 3 games. I was trying to play jungle for him,
You
and
didn't int him on purpose, right? You were
no,
just trying to
no,
keep him down
no,
for
no. I
entertainment.
swear.
Like,
But
I'm
no,
not
I
gonna prosecute
literally,
you if you do.
I was I think I was like 3-0 roughly or similar like in every match, and like I had perfect early lead. I was ready to carry, and then it was just disaster every time. Every lane losing.
Was
But
the zoo in full swing? Is that what you're saying?
something like that. It was classic. But then on the last game we just played, he finally locked in. We contested the objectives together. All I need, one even lane. And not either.
I think also it's good to come back to AD carry after like a lot of jungle games. I think I have like
I
around
knew you'd miss it, Vincent.
50 games on Talon into 11 games of
Zeri.
Kindred right now, and yeah. So I played some Zeri. Zeri's just, I'm not gonna lie, she's kind of hidden good if you get a good enchanter.
Mhm.
I've been like trying to beg my
If-
supports to either go Yumi or Lulu.
We have been over
And,
this though. Conditionals. Conditionals are key.
Yeah. I played with Engage. Here's another story. I played with an Engage support. Played Alistar. He walks in level 2 and he expects us to kill a Zeri Alistar. And I was just like sitting back.
Who you
It
against?
was into MF as well, and it did not go too well.
Absolute classic champ. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you,
So
Zach? Have you
you've
been playing any ranked?
No, I've actually not had any time to play. I've just so this week I've just finished doing stuff, so I'm gonna play tomorrow. But I was doing a couple coaching charts again, so I got to see how people felt about the meta and all that stuff. So unrelated to solo queue, but like I said, I've seen obviously how the champs are performing, and everything still seems the same to me. So I'm hoping when I return, I can just play my Kaiser, no problem, and just get that account up into the less of the light blue depths and more to the dark blue depths. But that's gonna take time, of course. So
I have
we'll
a
have to
great
wait and see.
recent example of that Kaiser still being fine, and that we had a recurring AD carry when I was playing with Harry just now. He was in 2 or 3 of the games, I can't remember. He was non-stop typing, flaming everyone, claiming to be the carry in most of his games. I look at his match history, and anytime he plays anything that's not Kaiser MF, he loses. And then I was looking, and the only way he's winning is either abusing one-shot MF or that new Kaiser build with the, well, I could say new in air quotes, with the Essence Reaver Shadow Flame.
Yeah.
So if a monkey like that can win games on Kaiser with that build, she's not leaving the meta anytime soon.
Yeah, I usually ban MF. That champion's just too much of a headache to play into. Because I kind of just want to scale, and that's like legit my entire goal right now as AD carry. Just like sit back and chill instead of like playing one of my like more engage heavy, want to fight in your face.
I find that
Sit
really
back and
funny
chill.
because Riot releases a quote-unquote overloaded champ like Amal. Everyone's panicking over it, and then the real terrorist of solo queue becomes one of the most fundamentally simple AD carries in the game.
Literally, it was just like I had 2 games back to back where I had a DMP score of 100. Literally just sitting and farming with with an enchanter support who enabled me after like me hitting like 10 CS a minute and like an item at like 10 minutes. It was crazy.
Okay, well, obviously, you've been scaling. I've not been playing. Matt's been going around the place. Virgil,
Hinting.
what about you? Obviously, you've dueled 3 games with Harry, but what about the rest of your ranked experience for the past week or two?
Well, if you want to climb, you've got to expect that some weeks will just be like this. I've had an absolute nightmare of a week in solo queue. It started out pretty good, to be honest. Like, I had a good mental going into it because I was playing games that I was losing, but I was getting ace or MVP tag in all the games, and I was just, playing good fundamentals, and it felt like I was doing my best, and that's like usually enough for me, even if I'm losing. But then, like, as the bad luck continued, my own performance started like slowly deteriorating as well. And I was just like, both in solo and in flex games, I just started losing it. As literally, like, usually I'll not go any worse than even in lane, but I was actually like for once losing lane, and I was like, okay, this is a problem now. I need to take a break or something. Because if I'm like regularly losing lane, it's a bit abnormal. Something is wrong. But yeah, it's just been the entire past week. It's just been really bad. So I've been taking refuge playing RLcraft with the boys, trying to use the ostrich strategy, just bury my head in the sand and avoid solo queue. But I don't know. I think soon I'll be getting back into it. We'll see.
That's entirely fair. There's some weeks you have it, some weeks you don't have it. I'm definitely going to return this week when I get to play again. But of course, disregarding solo queue, have you guys obviously? From the sounds of both Vincent and Virgil, both been doing Harry. Have you guys been doing much this season, or is it just the I don't want to say charity case, but we'll say loan instead. Is it just like the loan of LP you're doing with him, or is there going to be some sort of regular duos you have this season?
Well, I think that ties into just what I was saying, like with this miserable week I've just had. One thing I've noticed is like everyone was losing this week. I think that's fair to say. You guys agree?
Yeah.
As you two have both been
Yeah,
playing.
I agree.
Everyone's just
Definitely.
losing. Game quality really bad. But the only difference is I've been like insisting on playing strictly solo on my main account, whereas everyone else has been like hella duoing. We've got like new duos forming. Like Owen and Jacob is a banger we didn't really expect, but it works quite well.
Yeah.
Alex and Jacob also playing together. It's just interesting duo pairings like that, and people managing to have fun while losing. I think that's the main thing. Whereas I've been insisting on playing solo queue. I've just been miserable because I got no one to relate to and just sat there losing on my own. So I think maybe change going forward. I'm gonna try and pick up regular duo again, but I'm not sure who would
Yeah.
work really. Maybe I
think
grab
if-
Dante, or if
Yeah, I
anyone
was gonna say.
wants to play sup, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But I also want to play on
Mhm.
Panacea, my support account. Any ADCs
I-
interested? The offer is on the table.
I was messaging Dante. I was like, oh, I want to play. Okay, so I was like, I'm gonna like say, oh, I'm gonna giga play Zeri on my like Smurf account, or not Smurf account, my second account, and I was like, oh, I need like sub duo. I asked Dante if he wants to play Yumi Lulu, like mega Yumi Lulu, like fuck ton of games, and I was just like, we can just like insta get like, I think I can get Emerald really quickly. Just Zeri, Lulu, Zeri, Yumi. Just like that champion's just. I'm not gonna lie, she's like underappreciated. She's really strong right now, I think.
Yep, I'll just throw in a little bit of context for those who don't know. So Jacob, who I mentioned, is a Vlad OTP friend of ours. Likes to hang out in the tavern, and Dante is
Twat. He's a complete twat.
Some people have different opinions.
I
But,
love
perhaps-
He's a twat.
yeah,
he's a twat.
He's low-key good. And Dante is also an AD carry main, but he has another account where he plays Enchanter supports, which is a very hot topic in the duo queue like sort of market. It's like not many people want to play Enchanter consistently, so everyone wants to duo him. That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
He's a commodity for certain. He's definitely a hot commodity. I can't for legal reasons, can't make many more jokes on that. If you know,
But-
you know.
Oh no.
Other than Enchanter's, on his main account, he does main Twitch and Draven, so you know.
Sounds like-
It's very polarizing, isn't it?
It
It's a
balances
very
out,
big difference, yeah. Of course, like I said, won't refer to his name. That's for him to talk about one day, maybe.
Mm.
It's a very interesting name for his account, his support account, but
Oh,
it fits
yeah,
very
yeah.
well.
Maybe one day we'll
yeah.
get them on the podcast. We'll see. Once we get
Yeah,
through all the
maybe
main
one day.
members.
If he decides to speak a little more, he will be a perfect fit. But until then, we'll have to just guess and hope. But yeah, obviously, duo queue out the way. I mean, Vincent, okay, like, I don't want to put you on blast. I feel like this happens a lot. But
Yeah.
when you asked me to duo queue a couple days ago, I was like, yeah, I got time for a game. And then that game was the worst quality I've ever played. And I think you're aware of this, and everyone else is. I said I'm not duoing you for the rest of the season.
Oh, I think I was in call when that happened. Yeah.
It was like, okay, Vincent, now because it's past and you're not playing jungle anymore, how would you get out smited by a support when they have no smite?
No, they smited it.
They didn't have a
Well,
smite, their
no,
jungle
no,
was
no.
dead.
What happened was I smited it and it healed when I smited. Like the Drake went, the Baron went up in health when I smited it. So plus I was like literally I was the only one hitting it for so long. If we were just more people hitting it earlier, I wouldn't be under pressure while they were coming. And then yeah, I was like L.
Mm.
I
One
did say,
day
though,
we're gonna start
I did
attaching
say-
gameplay clips to this podcast, and then we'll let the
Yeah.
viewers decide.
Yeah.
But I will say for that, like, I think you're not wrong, but I did also say, like, Vincent, I'm not going to be able to hit this thing. I think I was playing AD carry for you. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know what I
no,
was playing.
you were. No, it wasn't just you. It was like we were.
No, it
what?
wasn't me at all. I was in the complete
Yeah,
right.
yeah, of course.
I
We were
was
like 4 or 5
furious.
people on Baron, yet like it was like only me hitting us, I think. And then it was like literally only me hitting. It got to a point where like I had to smite, or else they will just come in and just like kill us.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to fixate on it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will say, man, like, what I was seeing that game, it was it's tilting to say the least. I will not lie. I
But
think
apart from that, I don't think I even played that bad. Like
okay, I
honestly.
don't like I said, I don't think you played bad, but I think we've all been over this, right? Your decision making just doesn't fit jungle.
Maybe
It was
that's
simple as
fair.
that. It was
Maybe
it was
that-
it
Ah,
was it was
it depends. It depends. I
No,
think
no, no, because
I'm
you,
good on talent.
you were being a naughty kitten. You were pathing into an Irelia top. He's playing into a flipping a Moo, right? Who then proceeded to run the game down. But you could have played for me in my winning bot lane matchup. Instead, you went,
Fair
no, I
enough,
don't need to do
fair
that. I'm going to split the map topside. And so I was left isolated, just like, you know what? It's fine. He's thinking about something, right?
Crazy to think this
It's not
conversation
thinking at all.
started with "I don't want to put you on blast."
It's like I will say it, and then I realize, you know what? I've got to air it out. Otherwise, it's going
Yeah.
to consume me from the inside.
Nah, it happens. I understand.
But yeah, that was about 5 days ago since this recording, so that was the last time I played solo queue. And if I was able to attach the clips, if I was able to attach the match history, you know, I'm sure someone listening would be like, you know what, I get him. It makes sense.
Hmm.
Anyway,
I also had a ranked game like yesterday on my like ranked account where I went 0-0-2. Virgil was watching, where I literally
Yeah.
just farmed the game, yet we lose.
I mean, it's the
everywhere was
Zeri pick
losing around
incident.
me.
The Zeri pick no enchant incident.
Yeah, like I was taking minions at one point at bot lane, and then like randomly there was a LeBlanc that was like 6-0.
Hmm.
And then literally, I just got half health, and then I went back and bought a Negatron
Yep,
hook, and I
the
was just
Negatron.
like,
900 gold into no damage on scaling AD carry. Enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, it is what it is. I had a pike, and
I think my favorite part of watching that game was when you were trying to justify your Negatron purchase, and then I watched you go bot onto the same lane as her, and she one-shot you anyway.
yeah.
It was really wholesome to watch.
Yeah.
But anyway, one last question about duo before we move on. Who is everyone's favorite duo in the tavern?
Oh,
Let's go left to right or right to left?
no, let's go right to
When you
left.
say
Just favorite person
do you
to
mean
duo. Like,
okay?
it doesn't have to be win rate or anything. Just who you have the most fun with.
Vincent, you might struggle because you've duoed the entire tavern like 16 times. over.
oh no. I have a clear favorite.
Alright.
Okay, you ready to answer them, bud?
Yeah, I'll go first then. Has to be Virgil.
Hey.
I think the reason why is like we went on like it was like on a Saturday, 7 game losing streak. But we were just like, we'll just carry on. And we lost the entire day. We were just losing.
That was
Yeah,
a
but
good
our
bonding
mental,
experience, yeah. Now that you
yeah,
bring
our
that
mental
up.
wasn't broken. But then yeah, recently like last split, we went on like we got meat from like gold all the way up to plat 1. It was just like perma win. Just like
We gotta bring
freaky
that
freaky
combo
gold.
back, bro. It was so
Mm,
chill. I don't know what why we were able to play so much, but I just want to recreate those conditions again.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, who's next?
For me, I don't really duo that often.
Hmm.
I do now and again. I think I've only really duoed with you, Virgil. I've duoed with Alex and then Justin.
I can reframe the
I
question
haven't.
if you want an easier time. Who's your favorite flex teammate?
Still no answer.
That's a hard one.
Doesn't want to throw anyone
'Cause I feel
under
like
the bus.
I feel like I'm just inting all the time, so I just piss people off. But
I
when
think you
when
piss
it's like
yourself off more than
fun,
anything.
when it's fun, I'd say Owen, just because we always just like try and mess with each other, but it's just funny. So
Fair enough, fair enough.
I'd probably say
It
Owen.
doesn't
Even though I
have to
haven't actually
be
duoed with him, but
doesn't have to be a complicated answer. Alright.
yeah.
You or me, Zach? I've got my answer.
You go first. 'Cause I've actually got a genuinely like really unique
Okay,
answer.
okay,
I think
okay.
that doesn't go to
I've got to say, my favorite. We're gonna have him on the podcast soon, actually, when we do our jungle episode. It has to be Man of the Year, Saad. Like, I don't know. I'd do a record. Like, even though we've lost a few games recently, I feel like we just match each other's vibe. Like, he's a jungler, I'm a mid laner. We're always contesting together. We follow our calls, and somehow we always have prio at the same time. I don't know. Maybe we're just always on the same tempo. But it's just fun, like the champs we play as well, high tempo, aggressive. Like we are often running double assassin combo at the start of the season, like we were playing Zed and Elise, just like nuking people. Which was obviously a lot more viable when it was first blood for the fear strength. It's not that anymore. But we were really into it. Just play it, like instead of complaining about the new system, we were like, okay, let's just full send it, pick the most aggressive shit we can and just go for it. We had a blast. But that's the main thing. We played a lot of games together. We always have a blast. So
Yeah, that's
That's
I just
my
want to
answer.
quickly say, before, like I'll mention it after Zach says his,
no,
but
go
that's
for it.
like the opposite of when me and you play.
Oh, it's just so
I
off
think-
tempo as well. It's sad. It's so sad.
I think what was it last season or the league recapped for the year last year?
Yeah.
I was the only negative win rate with player on your that has played with you. So
Although to be fair, it was 49%. That's not that bad. Like
yeah, but it's still negative compared to everyone else. And how many games was it? Like 400?
400? Really?
Might not have been 400, but it was a lot of games.
You're exposing me in front of the viewers, man.
I
As
mean, that's more like that. But
as a
that takes into
complete
account
That wasn't duo.
everything. That's
That wasn't duo. That was
everything.
that was everything.
Still doesn't look good in the
But,
flex though.
yeah.
It still doesn't. But
No.
no, my answer is because the only times I duo, like I never duo to climb because I don't like doing that. I only duo with people like lower than me when they like want a duo. But my favorite, honest to God, is Ash. Like because I played with her a couple
Oh, yeah.
times, and like her games are so entertaining for no reason. I don't know why, and it's like I perform in all of them. Whether I win or lose, though, it's just stupid fun every time.
Yeah, we gotta get Ash on the podcast as well. I feel like it'd be a
Mordekaiser,
banger episode.
OTP, Eggs, Galio,
Oh yeah,
OTP.
we definitely get her on when they release that mod skin, like the new one.
Yeah, the
God.
new one.
That's the timing, I think.
Yeah, the listeners will get to hear all about a fucking Mord Guna in real time. But yeah, simple as that. But moving on to the next topic per se, it's rather again. It's been talking about the whole thing anyway. But like how's your season gone so far? Because do you guys have goals set? Because I have my own goal set, even though I don't really play much. But I'm obviously curious about the rest of you, because you guys all play a lot more than me in terms of solo queue. Like, are your goals realistic right now? Are you reaching them? Do you think you'll reach them? What's gonna happen?
Right, I can answer this right off the bat. I think in another episode I stated my goal overall is just to get back to Diamond. and do that on 2 rolls. So get back to diamond on mid and then hit diamond for the first time on ADC. I haven't played on my mid account yet. I've been just mainly playing on my ADC account, and as I said, very rough week, like very painful week. But I think I can do it. Like I just need to find that right burst of motivation, ride the wave. I'll be there in no time. My gains are still alright, so as long as we're not negative gains, I think it'll be smooth sailing once I get back on track.
Mm.
What about you guys?
I do have some goals. They're not specific goals like I want to hit plat or I
Hmm.
want to hit diamond or emerald. Okay, diamond. Okay, whoa, I meant emerald.
You can do it.
But my main goals, I would say, is find like 2 or 3 champions that I want to play, because I'm looking at my like this season of ranked solo duo. I've played 30 different champions.
Jesus.
And so like my main goal is to just find 2 or 3 and then only play those, or maybe play like 1 or 2 more if I have to, but only play a few champions. And then to rather than play to win games, obviously I want to win and get climb, but I'm gonna try and play to get better as opposed to playing to win.
It's a very good mentality. It's a very healthy mentality. Especially because
So
one
that
thing that's happened this season and the previous season last split is that the goalposts have kind of shifted. So like Emerald 4 is not the Emerald 4 of previous seasons, for example. And a lot of
Yeah.
people went down by about 2 divisions. And people naturally think, oh, that means I got worse or I'm washed or whatever. But that's just like the elos shifted a bit. And the percentages of who was in each tier shifted. So it's
Yeah.
definitely healthier to focus on your actual like individual skill rather than hitting given elo. Because a lot of
'Cause
people
I
went
think
down in rank, but better than they were before. That's just how it went.
yeah. I also think I did actually try doing the thing that I was saying, like playing to get better rather than winning. I did play like that a while ago. I can't remember if it was jungle or top lane, but I genuinely enjoyed League more than playing to win,
Hmm.
because the losses, even if I did lose, I'd be like, okay, what did I learn from it? And then I'd find out things that I learned from it, and I would be happy rather than just saying, oh, I lost, I'm unhappy.
Let's
So
let Vincent say his piece and then Sax back. And after that, we can maybe talk about a tool that you've been using to improve and climb.
okay, yeah.
I think you know which one we're
Oh,
talking about. Take it away, Vincent.
so
Yeah.
for me, it's just like I've been playing jungle and learning jungle. Yeah, I've came back to AD carry, you know,
This was predicted.
and I have a different I have like a completely different outlook as I'm playing Zeri. It's just like I literally just farm. I don't do anything else, and it sounds like answer bad and whatnot. It's just like I just sit and farm and farm and farm until I hit those spikes. I hit 10 CS a minute, 10-minute first item before them, or like I have like an enchanter like a Yumi where I know I can fight them at a certain point, and it's just
Are you having fun?
it's yeah, completely. It's just like even when I'm losing and I'm farming 10 CS a minute, that's like making me really happy. Something consistent.
So
The
it's
consistency.
devolved from playing a high tempo aggressive jungler like Talon to literally just last hitting on the tower for 10 minutes
Yeah,
straight.
it's a difference, isn't it? It's like you swing from one end to the other. It's like
Ah,
Talon
I
Kindred,
guess so.
all
Yeah,
that, and then it's just like coming back to AD carry. It's just like, oh yeah, this is really this is why I play the role. This is why I like enjoy the role. It's just
well, that's all well and good,
sitting and
but
clicking minions.
remember the original question was about your goals. So what are your
Yeah, yeah.
goals for the end of this split? Let's say,
I
and
would
the
say
season
just
overall.
for me, it's just like enjoy myself. I guess it's just like get what I can,
Okay.
try get better, and it's just like if
I,
if I hit like emerald, I hit emerald. It's like really cool, and if not, then not. We just move on.
I like that
I've
outlook. Yeah.
people get really fixated on rank. I feel like it's like, oh, I have to hit this rank. I have to like and whatnot. It's just like you just take your time, man. You have like a full year. Like now since like they've changed it to like one. Is it one split? Is it one split? If you guys can confirm for me,
Uh,
Uh,
it's
it's like
one.
it's not multiple.
There's
It's
no
like one.
ranked resets, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
they'll be
yeah,
split.
yeah, yeah. So there's no rank reset. So it's just like take your time, man. You have all the time in the world. There's no need to like get like
Unless you have a
challenges.
job or a family, kids to take care of, a job like
Yeah,
money to make, then focus on real life and then play League.
exactly,
But
exactly.
if you're a loser like us, yeah, go play League of Legends. You have
I
infinite time.
honestly, yeah.
Moral of the
I just say
story:
like
invest all your time
take
into
your
League.
time.
They're not like us. I swear to God.
All
But,
right.
yeah.
And what about you, Zach? What are your goals? How
Oh
have you been
God.
meeting your goals? Keeping up?
I mean, my goals are just. I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know. Solo queue goals, simply put. I don't know. Just hit diamond on Kaiser only. I could do that. I definitely could. It's just whenever I set a goal for myself, it's not that I can't do it. It's just I don't invest the time into it because, as I said before, I hate solo queue. I think it's the worst experience ever. But of course, like I said, if I had to set a goal, diamond on Kaiser, and honestly, fuck knows, maybe make a Pantheon only account, get that to diamond as well. Because they're both very doable. They're both very, very doable. It would just require me to put in time and effort.
There's the real
Right.
tap queue. Maybe we'll see it.
God. I'm renaming that account one day. But I do recall something about Matthew and the tool you had, right? The
yes.
app, was it?
I think
Yeah.
famous streamer by the name of Xpatu. It's the main name
Yes.
behind it, and Matthew introduced it to us, and very kindly has paid the subscription as well. So why don't you tell us a bit about it and how you've been using it to climb and improve?
So I first like saw about it on Twitter. I did see a couple of stuff on YouTube about it, but mainly through Twitter. And I first looked at it to look at the new builds, not new builds, but just like best items for champions because I was interested in the increase in win probability and seeing all of that stuff was like I found it really interesting. Um, but then after looking at it more, Virgil mentioned that it's a really good tool for VOD reviewing your games.
Mm-hmm.
So it uses AI to find points in the game which would either increase your win probability or lose your win probability. So rather than spending like, I don't know, half an hour going through your game trying to find moments where you either lost the game or won the game, it will just pinpoint exact moments where it thinks, oh, this was really good, do this more, or this was really bad, try and avoid doing this in the future. So it's got a subscription, but I didn't mind paying for it because it's not too bad. I think it's £5 a month. And I thought that because at the time we were playing lots of 5 stacks as well, we could all use it as a tool to like get better and improve those games as well. Unfortunately, you can add multiple accounts to the same, multiple league accounts to the same account. So I just shared it with everyone that was interested. So yeah, it's a pretty good app.
Yeah, would
And,
recommend.
Yeah, 100%.
Have any of you guys used it much? Because I know Vincent and Virgil, your accounts are on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used it a little bit. I just haven't been busy. I've been busy like using the different like OPGG like thing like I found recently called
Oh,
DPM.
DPM.
It's
Oh yeah, DPM LOL has been pretty popular in the tavern as well recently.
it looks really it's a really like clean design.
I think there's a certain reason that it's really popular.
Really?
Yeah, I think
I
it's
would like
because it's a blame shifter.
Yeah, I think so. Now think
Yeah.
about it, yeah.
People haven't really realized that when you have the bad team label, that label includes you. Like you're counted into that average. When it says very bad team, that's considering you a bad player. More often than not, unless it specifically says that you are MVP or that your DPM score was higher than your opponents. but everyone just sees the bad team label and goes, "Look, guys, I lost because my team was bad. I'm innocent here." And I think that's why it's been really popular. But that said, it is a pretty interesting tool. It gives some unique analytics that other tools haven't given yet. I think the DPM score is nice. Although I'd quite liked if they made it so it wasn't very obviously biased towards the winning team, because every single time you could be playing at the same quality. You could get 100 for a mediocre performance, where you just didn't die or CS well, and you could play really well and lose, and it has a hard time giving you over 60, even if you played like the best you possibly could. So it just has like a huge bias in that calculation. If they managed to iron it out so it actually showed like how well you were playing every game at an average, I think it would be much better.
Yeah, that's probably its purpose, though, isn't it? Because it also wants to appeal to a large market, and of course, as you know, with people, especially in League, right, people don't like taking accountability. So if they can have something like kind of doesn't tell them that, and they have to read like behind the scenes to understand it, then it's like, okay, you know, it works how I want it to, or how the player envisions it in that regard.
From a marketing perspective, yeah, big success, that tool. They know what they're doing.
They're taking my goddamn solo queue data and ruining it. That's why more people play AP Cog more, and I can't play anymore. Such a damn shame.
Biggest tragedy.
Biggest tragedy indeed. But I feel like it's time we move on to the most juicy part of this podcast, right? And obviously the label of it today, the patch notes, and these ones are a lot bigger, and there's way less Swift play, which means we have a good chunk of stuff to get through and talk about. So without further ado, I think we'll get straight into that, starting with the champion buffs. And of course, going back straight to it, I believe it's all in alphabetical order. Yes, it is, at least for the buffs. Evelyn, the E base damage, 55, 115 plus 3% HP to 61 AT plus 3% HP. And the empowered base damage is just going from 175 to 8240. And then that's
pretty substantial, yeah.
That's a very big buff.
Usually when you see numbers shift by that amount, I mean the E is whatever, it's still significant, but the empowered base damage going up by that much usually signifies that the Riot is saying, we're not seeing this character enough, we want to see it more.
Yeah.
Whether or not we agree with that, I think we've probably all got some opinions there.
I mean, I think the champ is absurd. I think she's still absurd. And there's certain things about it that people don't really... If you play the champion, right, I feel like anyone who plays a champion that isn't an OTP would tell you, like, yeah, this champ is really, really insanely strong solo queue. And again, especially people who've played, like, who've been the victims of this champion, right? Especially the AD carry players, maybe the mages, they'd all agree, oh yeah, this champ is, absurdly overpowered. And I still don't understand the buff reason. I really don't. Like, I swear, she still has a consistently high win rate, no matter what. And even a high ban rate in some metas, right? I don't know about it anymore, but in the past, I remember there's a time when she was getting very high ban rates in like specifically high elo, because people were like, yeah, even though it's high elo, this champ is disgustingly overpowered.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons for me why she's so overpowered is just her kit. Like, it doesn't matter about the stats with the damage or anything like that. It's just the kit is so, well, one, made for solo queue, but two, just not overtuned. But like the passive is
it forces you to play in
me.
a certain way. It's just like minus fun for everyone as soon as that champ is locked in.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Shaco when you're just not allowed to play the game in the first few levels because of his Halo Blaze Ignite all-in that you literally can't react to. Like, it's just one of those things. But let's not dwell too long on Evelyn. Up next we got a Jax change, Jax buff. His mana regen is going up, his health scaling is going up, and his R passive damage is going up, which is the extra magic damage on every third auto attack. What do we think of a Jax buff?
AP Jax are very yummy.
Yummy is a...
Alex will like that one.
I mean, that mana regen does actually really lead me to instantly think AP Jax, right? Because it's obviously his biggest deficit. It's just he'd wave clear. It's 100 mana at max rank, and he doesn't really build mana items. And yeah, the 3-hit included. I think Jax is fine. I feel like he's never really been he's never really been weak. He's one of those top laners. But
Yeah.
if you play Jax, you play Jax. If you don't play Jax, you'll never touch the champ, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is trying to make him more appealing or anything like that, but it just again it seems like small quality of life stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. It's not like it's egregious or overtuning.
That's it. He is one of those champs that sort of always sits at like a certain power level, and they have a tendency to just push him over the edge with small buffs. So hopefully Riot were careful. Maybe they tested this change. Hopefully. But
In theory,
I wouldn't mind seeing more Jax. I just don't like the specific version of Jax I don't like is when his bruiser side is like way too strong and you can't peel him off yourself because he's just too tanky. Other than that, I don't mind Jax that much.
Last time that showed up was like a while ago. I'd say last time that was really prevalent was obviously Divine Sundra being a thing still.
Yeah, and pre him buildings on that often as well.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. And then of course, the next one, Blue Kayn, Q base damage 75-155 to 75-175. The rest Q damage is unchanged, and I'm assuming this is specifically Blue Kayn. It says Kayn and then blue in quotation brackets next to it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think that champion, when it's blue form, I don't know. It's very unfun to go against. It's kind of the same as Evelyn, but ironically more egregious, just simply because of his E and how long he can stay in the walls and whatnot, and how quick he is. So I don't know.
See,
if
I
that
think.
Q...
Sorry,
Sorry,
go on.
go for it.
I was just gonna say, I feel like Blue Kayn is either completely 1v9ing or completely useless. Because Rust, I feel, is consistently pretty strong, but Blue Kayn, it's like, I feel like whenever I have it on my team, it's just completely useless and doesn't do anything. That's just my thoughts on Kayn.
I reckon the reason we're seeing this change is there was a clip from a very, very high elo Kayn OTP where he was all-inning a Lux. He had armor pen in his build. They were like roughly the same. She missed everything. He hit everything, and she still survived and then actually won the trade. And that clip circulated a lot on Twitter or X or whatever, YouTube Shorts. People thinking, why isn't this assassin all-in killing? So I reckon that probably got to Riot, and that's why they're upping his damage numbers a bit.
Specifically with Blue Kayn as well. Obviously, as you can say, like Rast, it's just obnoxious. That
Rast has been having no problems in the tank meta now.
Yeah, it just fits everything perfectly fine. So I mean, like I said, we'll see. I don't think this will bring Blue Kayn back, but it'll be interesting to see if it actually does something for the Kayn mains. But I guess they'd be the ones to ask. What's next on the notes? Nasa's passive lifesteal 9 to 21% to 12 to 24%. And I swear this is an undoing of his nerf.
Yeah,
like
I think
months
that
ago.
is. I think he was fine.
Because before he had the 1224 and he got nerfed, right, to 921.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're rebuffing it. I think everyone agrees that like the most obnoxious part of his kit, maybe the second most obnoxious part after his Wither, is just the fact that his passive lifesteal makes him, so sustainable in the lane where you have
Fleet,
a certain timer, and with Fleet, D-Shield, Second Wind, whatever you want to build, right? So I don't know. I in my opinion,
life Fleet for
I think it's unnecessary. I think it's ridiculous. Like he's not struggling, right? I haven't seen Nasus much, but if I do see him, he definitely isn't struggling.
Yeah, he's already very hard to kill. I don't think he's having any problems. And I also think he falls into that sort of guarantee of like, this champ exists as a pretty easy pick that you can play, but God forbid it gets counted, I don't think it needs to be particularly viable at all elos, but that's just my take.
That's fair. I mean, from the looks of it, like I said, is when we're in what D2 plus is like sub 46, which is understandable, kind of where you expect it. And again, I don't know if Nasus means are complaining about it, but like you said, that kind of makes sense for that elo, right? The higher up you go, the more this champ should be punished. The more this champ should have a definitively negative win rate and should still be fine. But Again, we don't know what Right's thinking, do we?
If only we did. Up next is a change to Quinn, increasing her W attack speed, so I believe that will be the passive proc that she gets.
I don't think it's not. I mean, it's not rank 1, but I think it's something you max if you're just going like normal crit. I think her W is something you max first, which is something. But like, if you're gonna go that lethality build, then it's like W attack speed isn't gonna be much anyway earlier on, because it is like still 28, but it's like I want to see like how the scaling changes. But I think it's something for her. I think it's alright, but
Yeah, I feel like it's just
I
like
think it's quite
kind of
random.
a nice just quality of life change for Quinn mains. I don't think it's like a buff or anything. I mean, obviously it is a buff, but not like a buff where it's like this champion will get really strong. It's more of just like just a bit of attack speed now and later in the game to make it easier. But yeah, I don't think it's going to change much.
Indeed. It's because, like I said, the crit build, Quinn would go W max first. If she goes lethality, she goes Q max. So I'm not sure. Maybe they want to incentivize the crit build. You know, maybe they even just want to go, hey.
I'd
max the
rather
second
see
you
her
can
as a
it's
crit
better.
builder, personally.
It makes more sense, but
I just don't see
lethality
how
won't
it would
show up.
ever outperform lethality. It's just like the Prowler's build is just so good. Not Prowlers. What's the name? Is it
What, profane?
Profane? Yeah.
Profane Hydra.
In my head,
yeah.
those two items are just like blurred together.
Yeah, I love my Prowler's called Aatrox. Hell yeah. But yeah. Next buff, of course, Rakan, W cooldown 1610 to 1410. I mean, I like it. I think this is one of those things where it's actually a really big buff, but like it depends on if you play the champ or not again.
Just your ability
Because
to play
I'm
the
looking at
game.
it.
You can do a lot of stuff with it. Even 2 seconds lower cooldown is quite a lot.
Like I'm just looking at it and thinking like, okay, that's really nice. Like 2 seconds is a big difference, obviously, and especially in like the bot lane where it can be very volatile. Having that 2 second extra, well, not extra, the 2 second lower cooldown before you can fight again or initiate or make space, however you want to do it, right? I think that's a pretty big buff, but it's not going to overtune it or anything, but still a really nice change, especially giving you again potential for like the first couple of levels before you get 6. It gives you a lot more,
For sure.
engage potential. However you want to put it again, you can vary it in many ways.
I think we've been seeing as well, like, for us AD carry players, Rakan always falls into that weird middle ground between Enchanter and Engage. And a lot of us right now are just seeing Rakan and going, oh god, I got a Rakan. He's not going to do as well as the Enchanter and Peeling. He's not going to do as well as the Leona or Engage. And so seeing him just get a bit of a overall power increase is nice. Because up until now he's been a bit of a weird pick to see. A very niche application. But he's a fun champ to play with and arguably fun to play against because he has a lot of counterplay. So I wouldn't mind seeing more Rakan.
Alright, the next buff is a severe one. It's E attack speed duration from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. And Vincent, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts?
It's something, I guess. It's different. It's like it's not addressing Samira's main problem, but it's definitely something you can, I guess, just like extend the fight with the attack speed just slightly longer, so you can get what's it called? Get Conqueror stacked slightly faster, which is definitely something. But
I think it's
It's
hidden
not much.
disgusting change actually. Like it looks really bad on paper, but when you're playing champ, like Ezreal's a good comparison because a lot of his damage in those early all-ins doesn't come from landing Qs. It just comes from stacking up his passive, and then throwing a WE all-in when you have just way more attack speed than your opponent. And I think it'll be a similar situation with Samira, where the difference between the winning Samira and the losing Samira isn't who can press the practice tool combo quickest, but it's going to be who can find those niche early kills. And an extra 2 seconds of uptime on the attack speed probably means that people aren't going to be expecting her to have more damage after her initial all-in. I think a lot of people are gonna get caught off guard by that, and a lot of first bloods are gonna go over to that champ. So I think it's a sleeper change.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that happening. Of course, yeah. Especially if you get you get your stacks on your passive, right? Like you get that bonus attack speed and you get your move speed, like those extensions of fights that you get to dictate. Yeah, I could see that being a very strong change. Maybe not as you've been said, Vincent, in the direction that you wanted, but who knows? Maybe it gives again that little bit of cheese potential in the early levels or the laning phase specifically. Don't know outside of it though. Next buff, which I already disagree with, is Swain buff. The passive max HP per stack is going from 12 to 15, and the EAP ratio is going from 60 to 70%. And I don't know why you're buffing a champ that's just strictly designed. It was strictly designed as like kind of like a counter pick champ, and to fill a niche. And then for some reason, I feel like he's constantly getting buffed, no matter what. Like I can't remember the last time I saw a Swain nerf that was genuinely like, yeah, that's noticeable. So I'm not sure what this buff is for. And again, I think the champion, the way he's designed, should be a counter pick, more so champ. So why do we need to adjust him so often? I don't know.
He's just another one of those champs that's always trying to multi-roll. It's very difficult to balance. And I think after they hit him a bit, after his rework, like he hasn't been blatantly OP. And so people just stopped playing it because there was a lot of new people playing Swain for the first time after his rework. Well, I call it a rework, it was basically just buffs. And that died down a bit, obviously, because they weren't Swain players to begin with. And I think it's just Riot overcompensating when he's already in a fine spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a weird, somewhat obsession with some of these champs, and I'm especially confused because I feel like with the obviously introducing Axiom Arcanist, and the fact this champ plays for scaling anyway, I'm not sure why you're buffing the scaling aspect of him, as opposed to maybe going, okay, maybe he's really crap in the early game. Let's give him again just the EAP ratio buff, make his laning phase, make his trades a bit better in mid. But as you said, yeah, I don't like that he's kind of like multi-rolled between mid and support and even APC at times. I feel like that's also as popular. But yeah, if I look at the win rates, the support win rate is of course understandably the lowest as you'd expect, right? And the mid win rate, however, seems perfectly, fine, stable even.
He isn't a support in my opinion. Like that character's just not a support.
He never should have been a support.
I'm happy for him to be mid. He makes sense. I have fun playing him sometimes, and even playing into him. Feels like I'm laning against a very classic mid laner. Like he just does exactly what you'd expect a mid lane mage to do. So
yeah.
Whereas in the support archetype, it's like where's the power fantasy? It doesn't make any sense. You're not peeling or helping.
He functions as he should, right?
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like Galio, right? It's like, oh, if you pick Galio and it's a good game, you're gonna have a great time playing Galio, right? Same with Swain. If you pick it and it's not a good game, then okay, it's gonna be miserable for you. But that's completely fine because when he's strong, he's perfect. He fits perfectly into that comp. So again, it's a bit of an odd one. Anyway, moving on to the next buff, an actual support.
We have final buff of the patch for champs at least.
Base armor from 32 to 35. His Q damage goes from 100 to 300 plus 9% AP ratio to 100 to 320 plus 100% AP ratio. And honestly, like I said, I don't think it's going to make him more relevant. I don't think it's going to bring him back to meta anytime soon, but who knows? I'm never so sure about like support damage buffs, especially on a champ like Thresh.
I think that extra little 2 armor, just his base value, because obviously he gets his armor from souls, it'll probably help him out to not get rolled over by some of the more powerful supports right now. So maybe you'll see a bit more Thresh aggression viability on bot. But as for the damage buff to the Q, I just, like Zach said, I don't see that being relevant at all. Like,
I think the only thing I could bring him back is when they obviously, they overbuffed him and they made his Q a much shorter cooldown. Like, again, maybe like a year and a half ago now. But I remember it because you would just pick Thresh every game. And because obviously when you hit your Q on Thresh, you get a 3-second cooldown reduction. That thing was basically always up, even before max rank. It was incredible. And that was
you felt like you were melee Morgana or something. It was crazy.
I mean, I don't shy away from picking the champ myself, but yeah, I think again, he hasn't been relevant for a long time, but I'm honestly fine with that. Like, if you care about pro play, I've noticed him being more of a like a third, fifth game kind of pick with Jinx again. Which again, like I said, I think that makes perfect sense. If he has a good pairing, maybe Jinx or Felios, he can be picked. But otherwise, he doesn't need to be particularly relevant. But people will always play him because he's such a high skill ceiling support.
Hmm. All right, before we move on to the nerfs, you two have been a bit quiet. Could you tell us what your favorite and least favorite buff out of those was?
Probably my favorite
okay.
buff, I think, would be the. I mean, so as an AD carry player, scenario buff, looking very nice. Something. So it is something.
Yeah,
And yeah, my least favorite is probably the Nasus.
that's fair.
Not for me, but for my, my laners that are in my team. Kind of annoying if they
It
are
already
playing
sucks when
like
your top laner randomly loses to early
yeah,
game Nasus somehow.
yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Matt?
I think my favorite is um, I'm thinking either Thresh or Khan because those are two supports that if I do play support, I play now and again, and they're both pretty fun. So making them a bit stronger will just make it a little bit more fun anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
My least favorite is 100% Evelyn because even though it doesn't directly impact me. It means that she'll be played in more games, which just is never fun. But also the fact that she's stronger into my teammates, so once she gets one kill and gets the Magi Soul Stealer, the game's already over. So yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll just have to see how much it impacts, how much she's played, and her strength. But yeah, that's my least favorite.
All right then. Let's jump right into the nerfs.
Looking at
A juicy one.
Cassiopeia nerf. Holy
Yeah.
shit! They're addressing this champion. They're like, whoa! This champion's a little bit not okay in top lane, or just anywhere.
In any lane, yeah.
Yeah, this champion is a little bit absurd. So they're gonna touch her back, which is, I think it's very good. What about you guys?
Well, first let's take a look at the changes. The AP ratio for the Q is going from 70 to 65%, and the WAP ratio per second is going from 15% down to 10%, which is I think again good start. We'll have to see obviously, because when you touch on like AP ratios specifically for like mages, it can be night and day. But I'm not so sure about this, especially with the W part. But the QAP ratio is good enough to start with.
Mm-hmm. I think just looking at this change initially, it looks like it'll be pretty significant. But the thing is, I think we talked about this on the other podcast. Was we just want to see Cassia return to counterpick tier? We don't like as long as she's not being blindable and picked every game, it's fine. And I think there's a good change in the right direction to just shove her back into her niche.
Yeah, I mean, my only real thought about it is the fact that obviously her first max is always E. So I don't know if there's maybe a world where they just kind of tone down her E a little bit, actually get rid of some of her early fighting power. Because again, I don't know how many of you guys have played Cassiopeia much, but that champ is really not that weak early game, and she's
Yeah.
one of those champs that actually punishes you if you do take a wrong trade, right? Kind of a bit like
Yeah.
Vladimir, where it's like if you don't actually know the power of the champion, you kind of have to learn it that one time, so you're punished severely.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
And then once she finishes that Royal Eyes or whatever item she's rushing, as soon as you go behind in that matchup, it's very hard to get back ahead.
Yeah, especially I mean, as you said, like the rush, right? It's like I said, it's always Roa Seraphs.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's just like it kind of makes sense, right? Because she's a pretty short range mage. She's what like a bruiser mage. I think was the actual like one time they defined her. It was like she's one of those few bruiser mages, which makes sense. But again, I kind of wish they'd do something to maybe address this and go, hey, maybe we want some more build versatility, so she doesn't go Roa Seraphs every game and become genuinely so tanky while outputting so much damage and having such good
Yeah.
scaling.
Yeah.
I think once she gets those two items, because when I played Vlad mid, I often came into a Cassiopeia because she counters him quite hard. But once she gets those two items, even if you are ahead, if you don't play the fight perfectly, she will just win because of her constant DPS and tankiness. So I think Cassio nerfs. Well, at the moment she's incredibly strong anyway, but I'm quite thankful quite thankful for the nerfs.
That's good. Alright, next up we have a Galio health change, and it's a pretty simple change, just bringing his level 1 health down from 632 to 600.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it feels like, you know, one of those more like pro play centered nerfs where you pay a lot of attention to the matchups and like the very specific little parts into them. It'll be noticeable, but in solo queue, I don't think I'm going to notice that at all, to be honest. We'll see though.
I think it's just funny to compare it to the Thresh change, where he went up by measly 2 armor, and then we have the Galio losing a whole 32, which doesn't sound like much, but when you put it in the context of the health scaling runes, it's like you're losing half a minor rune there. But still, probably won't make a significant difference to his performance, but maybe like make him feel a little less oppressive early on for those melee characters.
Possibly, yeah, very possibly. Now, of course, I'm going to go straight into the next one. Again, the big one for this patch, I'd say more than catch up here, is the tank chase nerfs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the RQ. Sorry, am I seeing that? Does that say RQ?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm assuming that the R doesn't mean anything. Sorry, Q damage from 60
Range
to
Q.
335.
Ranged Q, melee Q,
thank,
that's what
yes.
they mean, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
ranged Q damage from 60 335 plus 125% base AD down to 60 310 max strength, and with 140% base AD. So obviously they're trying to incentivize the AD builds. And I've seen melee Q damage 6310 plus 120% base AD to 6285 plus 135% base AD. Again, we can obviously see that the melee W damage tick per tick is going from 4115 to 35110. Shouldn't be a huge difference, but we'll see. And then the melee R damage, yeah, I'm assuming that's changing into melee form. Goes from 25 145 plus 25% base AD to 25 130 plus 30% base AD. Yeah, that makes. I mean, like I said, I think that's a pretty nice change to everything. I think lowering his base stats is a good start. It's a really essential thing. To then also give him bonus AD ratios. I think it's almost ideal to what you'd want a tank chase nerf to be.
Yep, I think that's pretty much like exactly the direction they needed to take him and just make him build his damage instead of having it for free. And it'd be fine if his AD power level stayed the same. It's just it was getting a bit ridiculous. But at the same time, I kind of enjoyed it was like a new thing. It was interesting just seeing a beefier Jace with maybe lower damage, but being able to take longer sustained fights. It was more interesting to see that than just another one-shot build. It is just a bit too powerful, I think.
It reminds me of the Gorgunga Jace when that came around for like a month or two before Gorgunga was actually removed, where it's like, yeah, again, it's a change on how Jace is normally played, because it kind of specs into that, you know, one-shot assassin setup. Again, the EQ doing half your HP, you know, stacking pen, you know, stacking lethality. So I liked it, but yeah, I mean, one thing I will say from the tank chase things, I do like the runes that came out of it. You know, I still personally prefer when I play Jace, they just almost always go the tank runes into a full AD build. I think it's too good to pass up on Black Grasping dying, giving you even better like early game strength.
And we've got another villain of the patch coming up with a misfortune nerf. So they're going to be taking her armor down. So 28 plus 4.2 per level to 25 base plus 4 per level. So that's pretty significant overall. It seems like a small change, but as we know, just tweaking those base numbers, especially on a champ that already has quite low armor, can make a big difference. And then, yeah, her armor per level is going to take up from a range of 28 at level 1 to 99 at level 18 to 25 at level 1, capping out at 93 at level 18, assuming you don't buy any more for some reason. But yeah, I think this is a good change. She's just had...
I think so too.
It's less about the actual power level of the champ and more how free it is. And so by making her squishier, making her focus on her positioning more and watching out in those early trades, they don't have to reduce her damage at all. It just means that the players aren't getting access to that crazy damage output for free. You've just got to pay more attention in lane. Watch out for those trades.
Yeah, I think I again I ain't got any thoughts because it's not the nerf I expected, but you're always welcome to the to the bot lane. And of course the next nerf, Rel base HP from 640 down to 620, and the armor goes from 4.3 to 4.0. Again, same thing. But in this case it makes more sense just because how prominent she is, especially with the AD carry pairing she has. So I like it a lot. I've met a lot of people who don't like playing Rel in support. I'm one of them. I think she's a really, really boring champion. And honestly, when she's strong, it's just not a fun meta. And I just dislike the champion a lot, so I'm always happy to see it kind of nerfed down a little bit and having a lower priority.
Am I the only one who preferred her old kit with the like clothesline stun? I think those is like at least interesting. She kind of had the same problems, but
I mean, I liked when she was flexible in jungle, but obviously, of course, that she was literally overpowered. Like she's on the same level as obviously current Skarner, right? Where she was just completely overtuned in jungle, but she also had flexibility to support. But I think again, I like the old kit a lot more. I agree, and I really do honestly wish they kept her as like a viable jungler, just not as overtuned as she was. I'm really sad they actually just kicked her straight out of jungle as opposed to like doing the whole nerfing thing, like with Diana and Darius and all that stuff. Sad days. Speaking of Skarner, the next nerf. Armor per level for Skarner is going from 4.8 to 4.5, and the E stun duration, which is actually a big change, is going from 1.5 down to 1.1. I think that's a really significant nerf. I think that's a genuinely huge nerf. And again, I think if you've played Skarner a bit, you'll kind of see how it's like, oh,
you'll definitely feel that one.
Sense.
Yeah. Just by eye, I think maybe the armor nerf would have been enough. Maybe a more significant armor nerf, because I think the issue with him and a lot of the current tanks is because their base stats are so good, they can just go health and just keep stacking health and be really tanky anyway. So I think maybe forcing him to spec into some armor early on would be a way to keep him in line. But that E stun duration is definitely 0.4 seconds is a lot.
Yeah, it's a very, again, especially if you haven't got your level 6, you haven't got your R up to follow up. That's a huge difference between a successful gank and a very unsuccessful gank, right?
Yeah.
Which I think would be big to look in. But of course, on the topic of Skada, I would say, like, because he scales with, like, just so strong with the HP, I wish they kind of just, tone down his damage a bit. I think everyone would agree with that. Like, even with the armor nerf, that'd be good, and the stun nerf. But again, like, everyone agrees, like, Skarner's just too good at what he does.
Because I've played quite a bit of Skarner. I think last season he was one of my highest win rate champions. I always found that, yes, he was really tanky, but his kit and like the way he scales is the issue that I always like. When I played him, I found him broken because one, his kit, he's got a good kit, so he's going to always be pretty relevant, I would say. But it's just the fact that his damage scales off health is just, he does so much damage for pretty much no drawbacks. So I think, yeah, like Zach said, a health scaling or health damage scaling reduction, I think would be better than this stun duration or, yeah. So.
Yep, I agree. That champion, like, again, I feel like when I'm playing AD carry or like whatnot, it feels like I'm getting one shot like an assassin. This champion just feels like an assassin. He comes through like a wall and then just like pins me into a wall and then just one shots me. Like, actually an unfun champion to play against, and I can't do anything about it. I need to wait so long before I can even start doing anything.
Yeah, just take 2 flushes, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, next up on the chopping block, we've got actually what looks like a very significant chunk to Teemo's early game. His E on-hit damage is only losing 1 point by level 18. However, the early damage is going down from 14 at level 1 to 9. So, even though those are small numbers, there's a very significant change in terms of Teemo's ability to poke you out of lane and win those early trades. Yeah, what do we think about Teemo? I don't know. I think
I like it.
he's
like
been
it a
doing a
lot.
while, but I'm still not happy to see him on my team or on enemy team. He's just one of those characters.
I think he's been. I just think he's doing a little bit too well. It's like
Mm.
he can like beat up some of the matchups that he previously can't. I think that's like a little bit of a problem.
I think
He's like,
since the W speed or the movement speed buffs, he's been a little bit too strong. So I do think this is bringing him back down to where he should be. I don't know how much it'll do, but I do think he did need a little bit of a nerf.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
seems
agree.
very strong. But like I said, strong in ways that I don't really appreciate. But maybe that's just
Hmm.
me. And next up, we've got Viego, who's been performing quite well recently, taking just a very simple base AD nerf, losing 3 base AD from 60 to 57. Any thoughts on that?
It's a good start. I think. Yeah, I mean, it's like his kit is like so, like his kit is pretty bad. So like you kind of have to attack him in the one space you can, which is AD. So I kind of like that. I don't know how much it'll change, but obviously it will change a significant amount of his damage. Just I'd have to wait and see exactly how much, and
Hmm.
if it really alters the builds he does.
I think
I
it'll be
think
a nice way of just making sure he doesn't completely run over the enemy jungler on that first crab fight or whatever, because just losing a bit of damage on your first clear slows him down. It just means that he
yeah.
has to play into those resets even more instead of having the ability to duel. Quite the strength that he's been dueling at right now. Then we have a bit of a mystery nerf. The patch notes have sort of cropped it off, but we figured out this is a Nidalee nerf
yeah.
with the W cooldown going up. I think Zach managed to make it out.
I think it's flat 20 from 18 down to 14,
I'll,
which is a
I'm gonna
really
look on
specific. I think
Skype.
that's for traps. I think for traps is what it is.
Yeah.
So not for cougar form, for human form. And then further with human form, the E attack speed is going from 40-60 to 35-55. And again, the E is the heal, and what some people don't know because they probably haven't played the champ much is the heal also gives you attack speed to whoever sees the heal, whether it's her or her teammates. So again, yeah, I mean, again, you don't see Nidalee much, so it's one of those things where it's like if you play the champion, you'll notice these nerfs a lot. If you don't play the champion, you're probably not going to notice anything change in the first place, especially with the fact that it's her human
Oh,
form.
Do we think
the
Nidalee's been
nerf is
overperforming?
actually the nerf is actually Wukong nerf.
Ah, we've been
And
baited.
that makes a lot more sense actually, and I'm much more happy to see
Yeah.
that.
It's W cooldown from 18 to 14 to 20 to 16.
Oh,
E
60,
attack
okay.
speed from 40 to 60% to 35 to 55%.
Okay,
Yeah,
reasonable.
I think Wukong is definitely due for a nerf because I feel like he was really strong and then he sort of fell off a bit and then was really bad and now he's been like the best jungler again. So I do think he needed a little bit of a nerf. I still think they should keep him viable jungle because I do quite like playing him and he's pretty useful in some matchups. But he's just been way too strong recently anyway.
Yeah, he
So I
feels.
think he did deserve these.
I think
He
there's
just
there's got to
doesn't
be a
do so
trade-off for
much.
that tankiness when he gets on you. The fact he's
Yeah.
also one-shotting you is a bit absurd.
I mean, I like it. It's gonna make his early clear slightly worse. And again, like this champion doesn't have like a single AD jungler he loses to in a skirmish. It's absurd. So I think yeah, that E attack speed going down is a big one, and the W cooldown just again good quality of life stuff. I really do think it'd be better to just actually like nerf his Q or his passive. His base hardest hitting like abilities or rather best parts was kit in my opinion. But this is good to start with. I think I disagree. I don't want to see the champ in meta. I think he's very unfun. Again, he falls into one of those things. It's like when he gets picked a lot, it's just like, oh, cool, this champ can do this thing no matter what, and it will be a problem no matter what. So I always find those kind of gameplay loops uninviting.
That's certainly fair enough. Alright, next up we have some system buffs. And we've got actually a very big juicer for the AD carry players, or anyone who plays high AS characters, which is the attack speed cap. It's not being removed, but it's going up by a whole 0.5 seconds, so now you can reach 3 attacks per second in your builds, whether that be through lethal tempo, through itemization, or through abilities. 3 attacks per second. What do we think of that?
Fun, definitely fun.
I think
I think that's good.
it's a change that's just in line with the general progression of any online game, which is just that over time, people get better, the tech gets better, the standards go up, and people are already used to kiting on 2.5, so why not? If the players are good enough to start kiting on 3, let them kite on 3, and it's a huge gold investment or stat investment to get to that number anyway. So I don't think there's any drawback to that change. But does anyone disagree? Does anyone have any different takes?
No,
No.
I agree.
No, not.
Can we
I'm
see
just,
any potential problems coming from this change?
Maybe Jinx again with her passive, but
Yeah, there it
that'll
is.
just
I
be
think
depending on.
Yeah.
Jinx, who's already very strong. I think we might see like a little spike in Jinx pick rate and win rate. But I think overall the change is quite nice, quite interesting as well. Next up we have Chemsol. So we're getting a damage increase to the below 50% health buff, which is going up from 11% to 13%. What do you think of that? Chemsol, it's been regarded as one of the weaker souls, but do we think it needed a buff?
I don't usually see it get taken, and when it does, it doesn't feel as impactful as others. So I think it is warranted.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Something more than
I don't think it'll change how useful it is, because it's still the fact that it's below 50% health, and the other ones are just, well, other dragons are still better, but it just means that it's less of a, oh, it's Chemtech Soul, I'm not even going to play for it, and it's like, okay, I can get it, but yeah, it still won't change the ranking of which dragons are better, I think.
I think I wouldn't mind there being like souls in the game or objectives in the game where like it becomes worth it to switch up your playstyle. Like if there was a particularly weak dragon soul in the game, which arguably Chemtech is the example, I think that just makes the game more interesting. You see sometimes, oh, there's a Chem soul, I can switch my priority. It doesn't actually matter if I have Bob Prior, blah blah blah. Like it just changes things a bit. But at the same time, I'd argue that buff sometimes you don't even notice it, unless you're at a very specific team. So maybe buff warranted. Maybe buff warranted. All right then. Next we have an electrocute damage increase, which we talked about. I think this was revealed as early on. We talked about it in the last podcast, but this is crazy. An entire 20 damage on that level 1 proc. And so you've got the damage range going up from 50 to 190 to 70 to 240.
insane. Not gonna lie.
Already a pretty popular rune in a meta where assassins are quite potent. I think this is going to be meta changing. Straight up. Especially as someone who plays
I think a lot more people are going to be running it now.
Yeah. Running it or running it? I guess we'll see. But yeah, I think broadly speaking that looks like a very strong change. And in a similar category we have a buff to the scaling counterpart of Electrocute, Dark Harvest, which is seeing a pretty significant buff as well, with the base damage going from 20 to 30, which is like comparable to the Electrocute buff, and then the damage per soul going up from 9 to 11. Any thoughts about that?
No, I hate the rune, but it'd be funny, but I don't think it's gonna bring it back.
Maybe Jin might use it, but
I think more junglers are going to be inclined to use it. But apart from that, I don't think any laners are going to be using it.
I just think Arcane Comet is too good to pass up on, because people who used to run like Dark Harvest, like let's say Brand, just won't really. He won't go back to. I don't see that. I don't see it likely. Karthus always runs it anyway, so he's just going to be much more happy. And I hate that, 'cause I think Karthus is super freaking annoying to play against. And I mean, like, who else runs Dark Harvest? Like, actually speaking, there's not really many champs in the game. that would actively run it. So
Maybe it's Nidley season.
should be, yeah, maybe Italy. It's only AP champs, honestly. I've never seen an AD champ on Dark Harvest. Maybe we need to
Yeah.
change that.
I start running it on Z. Don't even worry.
We run it even harder. So Halo Blades and the next one. I think we talked about this as well. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's specifically, so now it's specifying specifically melee attack speed from 110 to 140 and the cooldown from 12 to 10. There's no changes to range attack speed. So yeah, again, Halo Blades. Only thing I can think of is bike, really. Like, simple as that.
Yeah, I don't think melee Halo
Maybe
Blades.
Shaco.
Yeah,
Shaco, yeah.
potency
Shaco.
increase.
To be fair, Shaco's in a pretty useless spot. I don't think I've seen that Shaco do anything in like the past year, honestly. I think that champ is such a
Yeah.
meme.
He's annoying, but I don't think he's like strong.
And he can stay that way for like But yeah, I mean,
again, like two champs.
maybe the one tricks will enjoy it. I mean, good for them.
Nah, one tricks are the worst kind of population to feed towards. We all hate them.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, they're like significant buffs, but these are just kind of like you have to wait and see. And again, specifically the domination tree though. So yeah, maybe I think we can agree it's not going to change the whole like, you know, the secondary runes in the domination tree being any more useful. It's just going to make the domination tree by force a bit better, and people are going to be still unhappy with it, in my opinion.
I think, yeah, work needs to be done in the middle of that tree rather than at the top of it to make it more engaging.
Yeah.
All right, and we've got just a few more changes to go over. We got system nerfs. So Bloodsong is taking a hit. The increased damage, specifically for melee characters, is going down from 10% to 8%, and the duration of the empowered damage from your allies from other damage sources is going down from 6 to 4 seconds. I think this is needed. I think Bloodsong has become a default on champs that don't really make too much sense with it. And you'd expect them to be on their Solstice Slay or the I forgot the name of the other one.
Celestial Opposition.
Celestial Opposition. But they're just defaulting to more damage, more burstiness, which, as we know on bot lane, can make the whole lane feel a bit obnoxious to play.
So goodbye Rel from the nerfs, and goodbye Leona from the Bloodsong nerfs. And honestly, from the looks of it, I wouldn't be surprised if we do slightly shift towards more Enchanter heavy meta because of these two champs becoming much weaker in the bot lane. And especially again with it, of course, with the attack speed buffs as well. Like I could definitely see bot lane meta shifting the next month or so to more Enchanter heavy, which I don't care for. But
Hyper carry enchanters, I reckon, are going to be played more.
Indeed.
Certainly.
Yeah, I mean the Bloodsong nerf's relevant. I think it's completely fair, completely understandable.
Yep.
Just,
I think it's been a long time coming.
Yep.
Anyways, we got Cloud Soul, the counterpart to Chem Soul. So we got the weakest soul getting buffed and the strongest soul getting nerfed. There's the move speed increase is going down
quite a bit
from 20% to 15%. It's pretty significant. I still think though it'll be a very strong soul, definitely worth playing for.
Yeah.
I think it's very good, but it's gonna be hard to, again, it's one of those things where you don't notice it actually, but it's like one of those things that actually is better for the team that's playing against it. But as the person, if you're benefiting from it, you won't really notice a huge difference unless you're someone that looks at numbers. Like
Usually with move speed changes as well, it's never a case of by how much you're faster. It's just the fact that you are faster. So I don't think it'll feel worse, and I think it was needed to bring it in line as well. Because I think thematically as well, you'd expect your more powerful souls to be the ones that actually hit you. Like the Infernal, when in reality it's one of the weaker ones in the game. Even though it doesn't feel that way.
I mean, to be fair, like, I'd always say a passive's better than an active, and I think that's obviously the case with these, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Except when you've got the reverse with the Chemtech.
Now you got the interesting change to Voracious Atacon, which is the one providing you with the withdrawal from combat over death once you've gotten it. And that's the stasis duration is increased, so when you get brought to 0 HP when you have the Voracious buff, you usually get withdrawn to your base very quickly, but they're just increasing the amount of time that process takes. What do we think of that change?
I think that's good. Yeah.
It's good, but it's not enough.
I think what they need to do is maybe, I think Voracious is okay at the moment since they've increased the gold on death, because that was, I think, the main issue. But I think what they need to do is buff the other Atakan, because I feel like whenever I get that, I don't notice it at all.
like I think we talked about this actually on our first episode back discussing the new season. What we thought about it was that that buff is powerful. It is significant, the 25%. However, it doesn't have any sort of visual indicator. You don't feel like you have it. So
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's increasing your stats or making you more likely to win the game, which we looked at it, and that thing did have a 70 to 80% win rate on release. It didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like you were any stronger, and so just adding a visual cue to that might be the solution.
Yeah, I agree.
But
It
I
would be
think
nice to see.
this presents a unique opportunity to Riot, because I don't think anyone has been like in favor of the voracious Atacon buff. So while it is an interesting addition to the game, I think it's a unique opportunity to Riot to listen to your player base and just take it out the game.
Yeah.
Yep, I don't like it. I think it's just, yeah, I think everyone agrees.
I think
Really
by doing that as well,
makes
Riot
perfect
will
sense.
show that they're listening and that they're in tune with how the player base feels. Like, this change was dropped into the game, and everyone has been like, I don't like this, this is ridiculous, it's unfair. So, you know, here's your chance, Riot. Just maybe show us that they're listening. Next up, we have a change to the Void Grubs, which is just a general nerf to the pushing power and spawn rate. We've got the structure damage per stack, which is between 8 and 4 every 1 for 4 seconds, to 6 to 3 every 1 to 4 seconds. So just seeing a little damage decrease on the overall pushing power of Void Grubs. What do we think about that kind of change?
Yeah, I think it's good because it like kind of like doesn't incentivize you as to like you gotta get grubs if they already have 3 grubs, or like you're the one wanting, you know, the split pushing power. It slightly decreases the priority of it. Not gonna say it's weak, but it's like not completely like overtuned. No.
Yeah, I think since they added grubs to the game, it has been a lot more. The early game definitely has been played towards the grubs, so I do think the nerfs will maybe take it away from that, which I do kind of like, because it means that it's not constant fighting in top lane for the grubs, which is obviously fun sometimes, but having that every game, I just like the nerfs will make it sort of more diverse and give you more options, I think.
Yeah, definitely incentivize. I mean, it's definitely more a case of like, I mean, they've obviously changed that with the 4-6 thing from the 5-6, but like you kind of just want all the grubs if you want the full effect from them now. Getting one isn't really feel as impactful still, or less impactful so I don't know, it could go either way definitely with that comment in mind.
Yeah.
And there's that last nerf on the system nerfs is one that makes me personally quite happy, which is that Zazak's Realm Spike is getting a cooldown increase and a base damage decrease. So, I mean, I just, it seems like a ridiculous
I
item to
hate
me in the beginning.
Zazaks.
I think just similarly to Bloodsong, it fulfills an archetype that has no place on the support role, which is that of being a damage dealer. I mean, sure, it's fun to do damage, which is why people play the damage role to begin with. But just seeing this item knocked back a peg, it already feels really bad when you're getting hit with Zazaks. Losing a chunk of your HP from a poke spell never feels good, especially when it's coming from a support. And so I think tuning that down to really be specifically a niche option rather than a viable pick on a lot of characters is something I like to see. Very happy with that change personally.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to honestly be nerfed. Again, it doesn't really make sense for it to even be in the game in the first place, but you're always going to have those weird non-supports in support because people don't like actually learning a champion to get good in a solo lane, like Vel'Koz.
All right, then.
I think that's it. The only thing left is the system adjustment with the bounties, but the thing is, I'm reading this and it's like, again, it's like, I don't know. It's a bit of an odd one, right?
It
doesn't have any flat value. It's just kind of got. I mean, it's required leave for champion bounty devaluation reduced by 60%. Losing team bounties fully turn off 50% sooner when objective bounties spawn, and champion bounties are fully suppressed for the losing team. And the last part is the only part that really matters in all honesty, right? Where it's like the losing team does not have bounties anymore, which is how it always should have been. And I think everyone is very
Yeah.
confused when Riot changed that in the first place. And they also messed the system up for a couple of patches and admitted that, which is fair enough. But the
Mhm.
fact that you even got that situation where it's a thing, it really annoyed a lot of people. So that's the only part I think that's actually relevant to this. And again, simply put, I make good. Finally,
Yeah.
it makes complete sense.
It's just like this
One.
change generally is meaning that the bounties are just not gonna come out of nowhere anymore, and you're gonna see a lot less of those unfair bounties. Like I've noticed it personally in the last week or so, because I often very solo queue-esque thing to happen to you if you're performing well and your team is not, is you think, wait, why do I have a bounty now? We're losing everywhere else. Like, and I've noticed that a lot recently. So it's nice to see that
Yeah.
kind of a change come around.
But yeah, that's
One thing I want to mention is there's still no mention of crates.
no chests,
No.
no nothing.
No more chests.
Well,
Still.
yeah. You think Riot are just glossing over it?
Yeah.
No.
It's been like 2 or 3 patches now where they haven't mentioned it, so
You know exactly
Um,
why they don't want to mention it.
yeah,
No
yeah.
reason for it.
It was a huge fuck up.
Oh yeah, I mean we could obviously spend hours talking about Riot's backups, but unfortunately there's no need for that.
I think
On this
that
episode
would
at
actually
least.
make an interesting topic for a different episode.
Yeah.
Talking about Riot's monetization tactics and the way that's shaped. So, if you want to hear more about that, perhaps tune into another episode.
Maybe you'll get to hear Vincent ranting about Gacha for the next 2 hours of however long you want to listen to it. But yeah, but that's the. I think that's all for this episode. We've
Mhm.
covered what we need to cover. You know, I thought I'd have more to say on some topics, but luckily I don't think it was that relevant. And I think the same for other people. So with that in mind, thank you for listening to this episode of The Climb. Thank you for listening this entire time if you're still here, and don't forget to tune into the next one or the previous ones if this is your first episode. This is bye from me, and I think from the other rest of you.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.